Informal sector taxation. Should petty traders be taxed? Now, the current administration has been very intentional, very vocal about widening the tax brackets in Nigeria, and part of that blanket is going to be thrown over the informal sector as well. Should informal sector be taxed? This is a topic of conversation that we are deconstructing on Tea or Coffee this morning, and we have just the person in the studio to join us on this conversation to help us understand, what informal sector taxation will look like. We have SESAN Okunade in the studio with us this morning. He's a financial expert and also a friend of the house. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ade, and good morning, Ebukun. Good morning to all our viewers this morning.
Thank you
A
for
beautiful way to start the week.
Very beautiful way indeed. Thank you for always joining us on the show, sir. We do appreciate it massively.
All right.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. All right, now, so the first question is, when you hear informal sector taxation, what exactly is informal sector?
Okay, well, informal sector, as per definition, can be those sector that is really not well structured, not well regulated by an average person. If I want to put it on a layman ground, what we call the small entrepreneur of those days, one-man business, where the one man cuts the show, and there are no structure. They don't keep account. There is no separation between the finance of the owner and that of the company. There is no capital structure where we can say this is what we have separated. Let me take, for example, Ibukun and Co. Nigeria Enterprises. So she invested 1 million, and tomorrow she's going for 1 million. She can easily dip and take 100,000 and just go there because the money is available. So when we have an organization or a company that is not well structured in terms of their finances, by separating the capital from the owner, like you have with the multinational and the formal sector, you say they are informal organization.
All right, I want to talk about impact of the informal sector on, the economic situation in Nigeria. How much does this informal sector you have cited contribute to the economy of this country? How much are they bringing in?
Yeah, I can tell you for free that they contribute as much as 48% to our GDP is huge. And I'm sure by the time we deep down into it, you'll see the importance of the money that's actually in the informal sector that we don't regulate. And also, I can tell you that they contribute above 70% of the employment rate. What do I mean? Maybe I should just give a little perspective to this. If you go to the average market that we have, let me use typically Lagos, for example, Okeari market, Idumota market, Alaba market. You know that every organization you have there, more than 90% of them are informal. They are owned by individuals that just start up the business. For Alaba, Emeka and Co. The guy just started, he has finished his apprenticeship from one side and he's invested money. You go to Okeari, our mother that you think that they don't know the money, they will give it to you. That when you multiply one, just put Naira at the back of that particular figure. They know how to get the figure. If you are using it in another format, they might not be able to do. So you discover that if you go to all these market areas, the streets on your street, all the shops that you have, these are basically a most informal sector that we have. And you can see the contribution. How many corporate organizations do you have on your street where you stay? But you have a lot of shops, lot of small kiosks where one man is selling pure water, the other one is selling mineral, the other one is selling foodstuff. They are informal sector that earn income on daily basis, and they make margin. It will beat your imagination. The woman that sell amala, Labule or somewhere out there, the kind of money they make on daily basis, because you and I need to eat. It's not all the every one of us that can afford to go to the structured restaurant because of affordability. But when you talk about Abula, where you just go in with 1,000, 1,200, you have good food, whether rice or abala or swallow. These are the informal people, and it does suffice and suggest to you that indeed they contribute to the GDP and the employment rate at which we have. It's not everybody that is having this white collar job like you and I are having. Majority of the people out there, when they move out of secondary school, before they even continue their education, get engaged by this informal sector. The woman that is selling ice block and the likes. They are spread across our streets, our markets, and they are out there making good money for themselves. You'll be shocked that some of them that you think they are illiterate, their children are schooling overseas. And it's from that same little money that you call income that they do all that they need to do for themselves.
Is the informal sector being absorbed into the formal sector before you were caught up abruptly? So please continue.
Yeah, thank you very much. You say informal sector will continue to exist, and it's putting the right structure in place for them to gradually migrate into the formal sector. Let me state this, that we have different classes of taxes, but the one that are mostly applicable to the informal sector because of the nature of the business are one, their personal income tax. Take, for example, Ibukun setting up a small business outfit there aside what we have now. Is expected to make income for herself, and based on that, she's entitled to pay personal income tax. You know, like you are paying your payee to the state government because it's your personal income. It's not that it's a company that is limited or guaranteed by capital. So you'll be expected to pay personal income tax. Also value added tax, because if you give in to some services, that value added tax is a topic on its own. But if you charge those things on the service that you rendered to people, you are supposed to pay that 7.5, and also withholding taxes, VAT and withholding taxes, they work side by side. So these are taxes that are meant for those people. But because of the way and manner most informal sector are structured, they actually don't have proper documentation. So we assume that their taxes are presumption. And because the current act has empowered the tax collector, both at the federal and the states, to have access to you and I via our BVN, our account. So they can have an assumption if there is no proper description in your account of what your income looks like in a year, and definitely give you what your liability should be for you to pay. But I know majority of the challenges that this informal sector are facing is the levy that the local government are actually billing them, which is not giving them the opportunity to pay the personal income tax expected of them to the state. And we have actually put that before the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform in such a way that these taxes can be harmonized, and the informal sector can understand what they are paying. And that's not just that alone. The other aspect of it, when taxes are paid, is government fulfilling the social contract. That is what we have actually been engaging the government for. I cannot be and in the informal sector, we are the one that contribute money to fix the toilet in the market. We are the one that fix the road that leads to the market. We are the one that actually generate power for ourselves to use in the market. These are basic infrastructure expected of the government, and that is the social contract of it. So the current presidential tax laws are actually working on way of harmonizing and fulfilling back that is expected of them, because everyone that earn income, legitimately must pay taxes to the government, whether as a formal sector or an informal sector.
All right. So I find that points, that comment is very interesting, because we see in some market vicinities, we see in some market communities, they contribute, they actually, the development in small bouts in some of these communities is actually a communal project. So it's not particularly, one, the local governments, getting involved in some, let's say the power, lightning in some of these communities. How would you feel, that, the government is now coming to say that, oh, we are demanding tax for you to provide you with basic amenities to some of these communities, considering the fact that, the development in small bouts in their communities have been a communal project? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a big task before this administration came on board. And I think they have realized that. And that is why you are not seeing that machete and the way they will challenge the formal sector in collection of taxes, because they know that the basic infrastructure that the informal sector relies on are being provided for by themselves. And that's why the informal participant will tell you that when the government failed to do what is expected of them, which they are supposed to use their taxes for, they are already providing it, so they are not obliged to pay any tax. But I make it straight again to say here that the last administration, through the Finance Act 2021, has eased the burden of some of this informal sector and even the MSMEs by saying that if your turnover is not up to 25 billion, you are exempted from paying, these taxes. That on its own, but it does not negate the fact that you must remit, nil reports being captured. So, but for informal sector at all, they don't even have documents. They don't have books that some of them keep. So as the money comes, they trade and they go. The area where people take some of this information from are from their bank statement. And I can tell you, with the little access we've had into their books, a lot of them are making even beyond the 25 billion that is stated as an informal sector that you talk about. Go to Ireland, where these market women are selling lace and all those clothing materials. Even their turnover on daily basis is much more. But most of the time, we ride on the small ones that in our streets, that maybe their turnover a day is less than 20,000 or 30,000, to say that government is actually pinching them. They may not be able to pay much, but the small that they earn, they are supposed to fulfill the obligation. And I think government is looking in the area of fulfilling their social contract in making sure that the basic infrastructure needed for business growth are provided, and they are able to fulfill their obligation by paying their taxes as at when due.
All right. You have said a whole lot of things, and just from what you just said now, as regards the fact that there is no clear data on how to know how much the informal sector is making. With the reference of Lagos Island markets, how can the government now begin to? How can the government now begin to make ensure that they can find this? Actually get accurate data. This is why many of these people are unbanked. Many of them are unbanked. They just get cash, or they'll use their friend's maybe account, or they'll say, please go and cash your money at POS and bring it to me. Now, because of that, we know that many Nigerians, many of us are, we don't actually follow the rules and regulations. So when for example, the tax officials come and say, okay, so what was your turnover? What is all this? They just give any number because they are not even banked. Some of them are not banked. So there's no way you can check their statement or, statement of account and all of that. How can the government, based off of all these concerns, begin to actually have accurate data? Because some experts are saying maybe it's time to have a unified taxation system and just one way of collecting tax from top to bottom.
Thank you very much, Ibukun. That is a very good question. And I have this to say that let me commend the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service for a great job that they are doing under the Directorate of the Informal Sector. What they are doing now is to move closer to the market, engage the association, and look for experts, to assist in keeping their books and seeing the importance of keeping your books so that you can know how your funds are being disbursed. Even when you don't bank them, you collect now and you give to the other vendor, you should be able to track activity, not because they want to task you, but to know whether the business that you're actually venturing into is growing. And that is one system that the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service has adopted. If you go to all the market areas now, they engage the association. They try as much as possible to select few and get experts, even if they are going to bear the cost at the minimal rate. With those professionals, they assist them to keep books for certain period and let them see the value. You see, when you see the value of certain things, you pick interest in it. Reason why some of these people are not keeping book is that they don't attribute any value to it. But some of them that have actually, opened up for some of their books to be kept for them, they saw the value. I remember the man that saw the amount he was investing in purchasing newspaper every now and then. When they bring it at the end of the month, he saw that this is the amount I'm giving to the paper when I can read some of this paper online. He changed the orientation, and it's because there is no proper way of keeping the books, and not because they want to charge you taxes. So what they are doing is to give value proposition to bookkeeping and orientating them by teaching some of the younger ones who are even knowledge. Because to keep a book, you don't need the almighty to be a chartered accountant or be a core accounting person. All you need to do is that if you're having an income, write the amount. I am collecting 15,000 naira from Ibukun for selling this to him. And if you are actually giving somebody because you buy, keep the same thing. Just put the narration. When they come, they are able to. And I think they are adopting a software where it can be easier. If somebody can pick his phone to dial number and call, you can also pick up an app and put certain imputation, and that will solve the problem on its own.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Olusegun Okunade, for being our guest. Thank you. I love that last comment that you made because it's showing there is need for stakeholder engagement. Thank you so much. I'm sure that if we call on you again, you would oblige us because you always dish out, valuable points when it comes to economic policies and, things across Nigeria's economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Ibokun and Ade.
Thank you very much,
I wish all our viewers the best of the week by God's grace.
All right.
Thank you very much. I enjoy your day too and your week. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we've been able to learn a lot about informal sector taxation. We've been able to put a lot of things into perspective, as people in the formal sector and, some of our viewers this morning who have, who are people in the informal sector who have relatives in the informal sector. Today has been a learning curve, for all of us generally. This is why conversations like this are important on platforms like this, because, it seems like, oh, why do you want to start taxing these petty traders? You people are not nice. That is not fair and all of that. But you need to be informed in order to have an informed opinion. And that is why, we're giving out all of this necessary information and breaking down this conversation. You need to know what is going on around you. You need to know what is going on around you in Nigeria, especially in these times that we're in the hands of a new administration. These policies, whether you like it or not, will actually go on to affect you.